Hello everyone, welcome to Brain Blitz Audios. Today we are going to narrate the story, A Hasty Judgement. This is adapted from the storybook, Chatterbox, edited by J. Erskine Clark. It talks about the hasty judgment a kid concludes about his stepmother and how it caused him. Let's begin. "What's the new mother like?" asked Walter Howard. He was cycling from the station with his friend, Jack Trehane, having just arrived to spend a few days of the summer holidays. "No good," was the short but expressive answer. "I remember you thought her rather a good sort before your father married her," Walter remarked. "You never know what people are really like until you live in the same house with them," said Jack gloomily. "Hard lines, when you had such decent holidays with your father alone. How is it she is not nice to you now, when she used to be so jolly?" "Oh, she isn't exactly nasty," Jack explained. "Only I do so hate her mean little saving ways." Walter's face fell. It would be a nuisance if he had to waste some of his precious holidays in a place where there was not even enough grub. Walter was welcomed warmly by Jack's parents. It was soon lunchtime. The family and guests sat down to a hearty meal. The food proved to be excellent, so Walter felt that it must be in some other way that the stinginess would be evident. The next morning at breakfast, Mrs. Trehane said, "It is such a lovely day, and I'm sure Walter will love to go down to the cove. What do you say to an expedition to Castle Cove?" "Wonderful idea," said Jack's father. "I'll get the beach umbrella ready." The boys too were delighted with the idea and ran off to get ready, while Mrs. Trehane set to work busily packing the picnic basket. "What is in that picnic basket you're carrying?" Jack asked his father as they were leaving. "Our lunch, Jack, and knowingly who packed it, I can promise we shall not do badly." "But you always used to give us lunch at the hotel, father," Jack said. "Ah, but we have learnt a trick worth two of that, have we not, my dear?" And Mr. Trehane smiled at his wife. "It is so much more fun to have our lunch close to the sea," she said, "rather than in a stuffy restaurant." "That is one of the saving ways I told you about. She thinks it will save the expenses of a lunch at the hotel," muttered Jack as he got into the back seat with Walter. "And who is going to carry that horrid great basket, I should like to know? Not me for sure." The white-crested waves were rolling in over the blue bay as the Trehanes and Walter got out of the car to follow the narrow cliff path towards the cove, where they would enjoy their picnic. Halfway to the spot, Jack offered to carry the basket the rest of the way. "It's quite heavy, Jack, filled as it with goodies you boys will love. Are you sure you want to carry it?" his father asked. "Yes, of course. I'm not a weakling," Jack said, taking the basket from his father. A few meters up the path, Jack loitered behind the others. Suddenly, a cry from him made them look round. Jack had tripped over a stone, sending the picnic basket hurtling down the cliff, bursting the bottles and dashing the contents of the basket into fragments on the rocks below. "How could you be so careless, Jack?" his father said, quite upset at the accident. But as he never dreamed it was anything but an accident, he did not say much. They were obliged to return to the hotel for a meal, and Walter surely suspected this was the result Jack had worked for. However, the lunch was a huge disappointment. A crowd of tourists had consumed everything in the shape of food, leaving very little for anyone who came after. The picnickers had to make do with cucumber sandwiches, chips, and cold drinks. "Oh dear," sighed Mrs. Rahane. "To think that the nice cheese sandwiches and hard-boiled eggs, the lovely chicken patties and strawberry puffs are now floating away to sea. Oh, how terrible!" "What an idiot you have been," whispered Walter to Jack. Walter's tone of voice left Jack in no doubt that his friend meant what he said. When Mr. Treherne pulled out some money in order to pay the bill, his wife gave another sigh. "This is worse than the cold soup, is it not?" he asked, laughing. "The savings from 4 such lunches got Jack his—" Then she laughed too and held up a warning finger. "Hush!" she whispered. "You must not let out my secret." "I think we must share it with Jack," said Mr. Treherne. "It will make him more careful in future when we trust him with our lunch basket." He had noticed his son's scornful look when the settlement of the bill was mentioned, and had partly guessed what was in his mind. "I wanted it to be a surprise," Mrs. Treherne said. "But since you let the cat out of the bag, you might as well let it out fully." "Well, Jack," his father said, "you know you have been bothering me for a new phone, but I told you I could not manage such a piece of extravagance now, and you would have to wait another year." "My old one is of no more use than a turnip," Jack broke in. "All the more pity that the new one went over the cliff with the lunch," remarked his father. "What do you mean?" asked Jack in bewilderment. Mr. Treherne looked at his wife. "It was your plan. You'd better explain it," he said. "You see, Jack," she began, "it seemed rather hard you should not have a new phone when you wanted one so badly. So I told your father I was quite sure I could save money in many little ways without denying us of any real comforts. So I thought we could have the best picnic meals of delicious homemade goodies instead of expensive junk food at fancy places. Now, Jack, do you approve of my little scheme?" Jack was almost speechless with shame and confusion, and the twinkle in Walter's eye made him even more regretful. "I think you are awfully good," he stammered, "but I don't deserve that phone. I shan't have it now. I was such a silly donkey to throw the basket over the cliff." Jack's father looked shocked at this confession and was about to scold him when his mother tactfully said, "Oh yes, you will, Jack," though she did look a little astonished at the confession that it was a deliberate act instead of an accident. "There'll be plenty of money saved by the end of the holidays if you'll be more careful not to lose any more baskets." Jack never forgot that experience. He was ever careful about any chore he was assigned, and the smart new phone he carried was a constant reminder that hasty judgments too often prove unjust. And that's the end of the story. It was interesting, wasn't it? For more such useful content, please subscribe to our channel, Brain Blitz Audios. We will be back with more interesting content. See you soon. Bye bye.